Hey friends, this is Lynn from Right For You talking about podcast production once again. And I'm happy to bring you a three-part series on your podcast and when a checklist for starting your podcast. So today I'm going to go over part one, your idea, your genre, and choosing a name for your podcast. So I get talking to people about this pretty often. And one of the things they're always asking me is like, what name should I pick for my podcast? Well, before you pick a name for your podcast, you obviously need to know what genre you're going to talk about, right? So is it going to be fiction, nonfiction? Is it going to be horror? Is it going to be children's? Is it going to be comedy? Is it going to be lifestyle, travel? Is it going to be a baking show? Like, I'm not sure which. So you need to pick your genre. So your overall category, you're going to have your podcast in first. And then once you know your genre, then pick your name, because you can't pick your name if you don't know what genre or subject you're going to be in. So pick your idea, obviously, for your podcast. So maybe you want to talk about how to bake bread at home. So, and then you have a genre of baking or cooking, and then you're going to pick your name based on your genre and your category. So an important thing with name picking for your podcast, because a lot of people want to have that cute name that has like a really fun, fun cutesy name sound to it and a great hook, which those are fun. But you won't be able to get picked up by people searching if your name is too cutesy and it doesn't have keywords in it. So for example, if you're going to do something with baking and cooking, you want to make sure either baking or cooking or bake or cook are in your name, in your main title, because that is when people are going to be searching on podcast players, and they're not going to be searching for cutesy names. They're going to be searching for like how to bake bread or how to cook a meal or how to make fast family meals or whatever it is that you're going to talk about. So make sure that you have the basic keywords in your title. So you can put cutesy things in your description, but make sure you can also have a good subtitle too for your podcast so that people understand and gives it a little more context on what's it about. So choosing a name is really important because you also want your name to fit your brand. So whatever brand that you have, or if you're creating a brand, you want your name to fit the style and look of your brand. And that's really important as well. So make sure that you do that when you pick your name, that it has keywords in it. So if someone's searching it, they're going to find it. And a great way to find out what things people are searching for is I always recommend people who are starting out, go on your favorite podcast player, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Pandora, whatever it is, and search for other people who are doing the same type of podcasts. Because another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to copy someone's podcasting. Now, there's lots of coaches out there, and coaches is flooded, but and you don't want to be like, hey, I'm a business coach, because there's a million business coaches out there. You might want to be a business coach to help small to mid-sized businesses with their money management issues. Or you might be a small business coach that helps small businesses with figuring out how to hire employees and how to bring people onto your team. Or you might be that small business coach that helps small businesses scale to medium businesses. So you need to pick a sub niche. Okay, you can't just say, don't just say I'm a coach, because that's way too general. You want to be a coach in a specific category, but also serving a specific avatar, so that and you want to be really dialed in with that. And some people say, well, that's really like too niche, but actually it's not for podcasting, because for podcasting, you're going to attract the people that you attract to your podcast within your niche or your sub niche or your sub niche are going to be very dedicated to following you, because your sub niche or your sub niche hits such a chord in their emotional string that they're really going to be attached, and you'll have a much better, much more faithful following than if you just have a general, more general type of niche of podcast. So I always suggest people niche it down as much as possible. So my one podcast is called Travel Gluten-Free. So it's very specifically travel for people who are gluten-free, such as myself and my daughter. So you want to have a sub niche that is really going to appeal to a specific avatar that you're looking to serve. All right, my friends, I hope this is really helpful. Definitely come back next week for part 2, which is going to be talking about evergreen or episodic podcasts. How do you choose which one you're going to produce?